Welcome back to the Sound for More channel. It's Leo speaking. Today we are going to start introducing and exploring how to work with plugins inside Logic Pro for iPad. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe, as it helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. Okay, let's click on Create a Project. Let's select Tracks. And let's click on the three dots along the Midi type of track and ensure that we have as a patch instrument a default patch, and we click on Create. Okay, so we have created a track as we have seen many times before. It's a Midi track. And let's open the surface, the play surface, and we know what it sounds like. It's an electric piano. So far, we have talked about how to work with various editors and within the track editor as well. And we have used the play surface, as you can see at the moment, to press on keys and therefore we create sounds, or we trigger sounds. Now you might be wondering where the sounds are coming from. Well, they come from plugins which are associated to a particular track, in this case a Midi track. So there is an icon here alongside the icon for the editor. So on the right hand side there is an icon for plugins. So click on it and you will open up the plugin view. So let's explore these and in a little bit more details, and let's change also a little bit the view so that we have a little bit more space on the plugin view. Okay, so as you can see, we are, first of all, on the top left-hand side, you have a track and the name of the track, which is there. And to confirm that, if you go to the inspector and you were to change the track names, like so, and let's say we call it track T1 and press enter, you see that that is changing up here on the track editor and also inside the plugin where it says now track T1, which is what we have changed. Okay, let's close that inspector. Next, we have three types of views. First one is track. The second one is send to a bus, which we will create in a moment. And the third one is to see the output of that particular track. We have also access to automation, which again, a tutorial is coming on that. And then we have three dots here, which allows you to copy the channel strip, because for this particular setup, it is a channel strip, as we will see on the Mexa in the upcoming tutorial. We can switch, and a lot of other options, which I will cover in a moment. Okay, additionally, you can see here a pencil here to edit in the track view. If you click on it, you can now, for example, click on the minus sign there and remove that electric piano plugin. As you can see, when you have done that, you remove also the access to the keyboard on the play surface, because you don't have any instrument to play with. This is useful because it shows you that in the track view, you can add an instrument in the middle, clicking on the plus sign. You can add on the left-hand side a MIDI effect. So when you press a key on a keyboard, whether it is the play surface or an external controller, of course, you send the MIDI messages, and then you can manipulate those MIDI messages through a MIDI effect before they get into an instrument, like, for example, an arpeggiato. And then, of course, on the right-hand side, you can add an audio effect. So, for example, reverb or a delay or a filter, etc., etc. Okay? If you go to send, that edit option goes away, and the same on the output as well. Now let's click on the plus for instrument. It shows you the screen where you can search for an instrument. Okay. You can recall a recent instrument that you used. Then as you scroll down, you have access to Logic Pro internal instrument. So under drums, you have drum kit designer, synth, drum machine designer, which I will explain. There is an upcoming tutorial for all of those. Samplers, so the Alchemy sampler and also the Quick sampler. You have also some studio instrument for horns and strings, synthesizer, which are coming from the desktop edition. like the ES1, ES2, retro synth, sculpture, which is really nice, the FM synth, EFM1, etc., etc. And you can always go back to the view, clicking up here, as I just showed you a couple of times now. Utility, where you have a test oscillator. The top one is important, which I will create a tutorial, is to drive an external instrument, really nice. And then vintage keys. And this is where, for example, the vintage electric piano is the one which normally comes by default. So if I was to click on that, it will load that electric piano. Now, you can click on the pencil again, add edit it and remove it, or you can click and hold on that plugin and then you can say remove, and in that case it will remove the plugin. The reason I'm removing it again is because if I try to add another instrument and I scroll down to the bottom, you will see access to audio units. This is where you can click on instrument and you can choose an audio unit that you like, for example ISM4 Arturia, and it will load that up. Okay, if you click and hold on that instrument, you can click on show details and it will show the details of that instrument, and it opens up on the top with this view. So you see now the nice UI from ISM. Here you can deactivate it, pressing here, so you bypass it. Okay, still option for automation. Then on the three dots, it's quite interesting because you can select to show presets. In this case, it will open up your browser and it will show you an access to audio unit preset where you can choose them from. Okay, you can also have access to patches if they are available. They're not available for these AU instrument. You can save as, it will say the plugin preset from there. You can recall default settings and you can change the size of the control, okay, which depends very much, let's close the browser, on the type of control that you have active, okay. And then lastly, you can remove the plugin tiles, which is this view here. So if you want to get more space, you can remove it like so. And re-enable it, of course. It is particularly the previous view but minimized. And of course, the usual option to change the size here. Now, if you press here on the arrow to the left, you go back to the previous view. Another way to reach out to the details of ISM is double click on it and it will open that details view for that instrument that you have selected. Now let's click and hold again and remove it. And let's add now a vintage electric piano from the internal set of instruments of Logic Pro for iPad. The reason I have gone back to this is because I wanted to show you what it looks like having an internal instrument, like in this case the vintage electric piano. And this also gives me the option to show you in a little bit better detail what happens when I change the size of the interface for the control. You can see how it works now. So for example, small, you practically don't see the controls anymore, but just the description, so it's almost minimized. So leave it to auto or large as you prefer. Additionally, here you have a section overview option. If you click on it, then you can scroll and decide to go to a particular section of that instrument, which is really nice if the instrument, like sculpture, is very complicated. And just to give you an idea, again, let's click and hold, click remove, then click on instrument again. Let's go to synthesizer and then sculpture modeling synth. Now let's double click on it, and as you scroll, you can see this instrument is actually quite complex, but really nice, as we will see in an upcoming tutorial. Click again and hold on the instrument. You can show the details as I just mentioned, replace it for a different instrument like so. Click and hold again. You can show the preset or the patches or the presets for that particular instrument on the left hand side on the browser. Or you can show the patches as well for that particular instrument patches, okay, that are different from the instrument preset. Again, let's close that down. Click and hold again, and then you can remove, of course, in this case, the vintage electric piano. Okay, on the right hand side, you can add audio effect. Click on it, same view. Again, you can go for recent, search, your internal one from Logic Pro, and there are lots. And you can go also for audio unit. Okay, so let's say, for example, that I want to add an internal delay like an echo. There it is. And I should have said also that in this view, you see some of the exposed controls, like in this case for the electric piano, the pace and the volume, and for the echo and number of parameters, which you can quickly adjust, like the dry and wet mix. Or the timing, for example. Really, really nice. Okay. And you can continue like that. You can see there is another plus here. You can add another audio effect and carry on like that. You can also add MIDI effects. Let's do an introduction, for example, an arpeggiator. Let's use a couple of fingers. So in this case, I'm sending MIDI note events, pressing keys on the play surface, which are going to the arpeggiator. A MIDI effect which will use the MIDI input notes to arpeggiate through them and then send those to the instrument plugin. And then the instrument plugin, of course, send the output to the audio effect, which in this case it's an echo, which produces an echo. But there are a lot of other things. Again, you can also cascade down in a chain different MIDI effects. So really, really nice. Let's go to the three dot or more option. So I come back to the copy channel strip settings when we talk about the mixer. And now you have option to switch off all the effects. You see I switched off that effect there. You can switch it on again. And you can remove inactive plugins. It doesn't do anything. You need to deactivate one and repeat that. It will remove that one, which was inactive now. You can remove all the effect plugins. In this case, it has removed also the MIDI effect because it is an effect. And then you have an option to remove all sends, which I'll cover in a moment, and also to reset this channel strip. Again, it's a channel strip, as you will see when we go to the mixer, and this is a preview of the mixer. You will see that you have this channel strip there, okay? But let's close that mixer now, and let's go back to the plugin view. So that's how you work with plugin in the plugin view. Let's click on the send. And here is where you can create buses, or you can redirect the output from the different plugins, from the track plugins. You click on the plus where it says plus send one, click on create a new bus, and it will create a new bus, which is called bus one. You can deactivate that as well, on and off there as well. You can set the level here. Okay, how much you want to send. You can click on bus one, and here it gives you option to select a different one if they are available, also create a new one. And then you can take the source post pan, post fader, or pre-fader. And when it means fader is the fader here. If you click on the fader, as we have seen in the previous tutorial, you have the fader here, T1. And now you also have this additional auxiliary output number 1. Okay. Now, other option you find here is remove the send, to remove it, of course, and also copy the fader to the send. So let's say that I set these down to 0 as a level. You see the fader here is up there. So if I click here and I say copy, it will match this value here to the dial here, okay? So it copies the fader level to the send level. Of course, you can also remove it as well. Let's click on the plus sign again, and let's redo that same bus one, which we just created a moment ago. You can create other send buses to where you can redirect your output, okay? And the other thing that you can also do, double click on it and you go inside it, and then you can add an audio effect. Let's say that I add, for example, a chorus from Bliss here, and that is on the bass channel. Indeed, you can also exit here and go back to the bass send view, which is different. You don't see anymore that Bliss chorus. To see it, double click again on the send. You can go inside the bus 1 view where you see that additional audio effect. Now that audio effect on the bus track or bus channel doesn't show up, of course, here on the track view, where you can add, for example, let's add an echo back in there. So, and importantly, again, as I mentioned, you can remove all sends. So click on that and it will remove all sends. Now let's go undo that options. Then you can also manipulate the output from the track directly. And this is where, again, you can add additional, for example, audio effect, like, I don't know, a space designer. So it can get quite interesting. Again, double click on any of those plugins, whether they're effect or instrument, and of course it will open up the detail view where you can actually see all the details for that particular plugin that you have selected. Okay, and let's go back up. So these are the different options, so track, send, and output. And just to show you a little bit a preview of what is coming with the mixer, if you click again on the track, so you have that echo audio effect. On the send, we have bus 1. Double click on bus 1, you have that Bliss chorus effect. And then on the output, we have a space designer. So if you were to go to the mixer, and let's minimize the play surface now, and let's also maximize the view of the mixer. Let's scroll up. You can see the vintage electric piano here going through the stereo output, the echo effect, then send through bus 1, which is this one. Inside bus 1, you have your Bliss chorus, and then your output here, the stereo output 2, you have your space designer effect. But I will explain again in a little bit more detail how to work with the mixer. So now you know how to work with presets, and remember you can replace anytime some of those presets with internal presets, sorry, I should say, with external one as well. So it's really nice. And why not? Let me give you straight away another example. So let's create another MIDI track with that default plugin. So let's go to MIDI effect, and let's say that we are going to search for something like scalar control 2, and that will load in a moment. Then we double click on it, and we wait for scalar to actually appear. We actually maximize the screen. Sometimes you see these slowing down, but that's okay. Click on songs. Let's go to AFD, select one genre, select all these chords. Yeah, here I've done a full tutorial, set of tutorials for scalar. Drag them and drop them here on the C section, set on looping. So now, if I exit scalar 2, press play, it will play the chords coming from scalar 2. And then why not? Let's go to MIDI effect and let's put an arpeggiator in the middle between the two. So really, really nice. Additionally, if you click and hold on the MIDI effect, you have other options. You can, of course, show the detail replace. You can add a plugin before this one. You can record the MIDI to the track here, show the presets, and remove the preset. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and as always, see you next time. Bye.